Hey mate, before you enjoy today's episode, I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about the free 14-day transformation that we are currently running inside of the Unbreakable Man team. Now, if you're a man on the Gold Coast who's serious about improving his physical and mental health, building his self-confidence, and you want to become a part of a team of motivated and like-minded men, then this is the best chance that you are going to get. So as part of the 14-day transformation, you're going to get a personalized meal plan and a recipe cookbook to help you get your diet under control. You're going to be training with myself and the Unbreakable Man team for 2 whole weeks, and I'll be there by your side, helping you overcome any of the challenges that you will face along the way. If that sounds good, then get in touch with me by emailing me at mitch@unbreakableman.com.au. You can find all of my contact details on the website, which is just www.unbreakableman.com.au. Or you can message me on social media. Instagram is unbreakableman_challenge, and Facebook is just Unbreakable Man. That sounds good to you? Hit me up. I hope to hear from you soon. Back to the episode. What's up, brother? Coach Mitch here, and welcome to this week's episode of the Unbreakable Man podcast. Now, if this is the first episode that you've listened to in a while, then I would recommend that before you listen to this episode, you actually go back to last week's episode 48, which is part 1 of this 2-part episode that you're listening to right now. So today is part 2 on relationships. Last week, honestly, it's super important that you go and listen to last week's episode first, because last week's episode was about building the foundation on which a healthy, love-filled, passionate relationship can sit. And that foundation, ultimately, my friend, is you. Making sure that you're in the best possible shape and in the best possible space to create a loving, lasting relationship. And nothing that you hear in today's episode is going to mean anything if you haven't started doing the work on the things that we spoke about in last week's episode. So if you are just now listening to this episode, and this is the first one you've listened to in a while, or your first episode you've ever listened to of the Unbreakable Man podcast, then just pause right now, go back to last week's episode and listen to that in its entirety, and then come back to this one. And this is going to make a lot more sense, and you're going to get a hell of a lot more out of it. Okay, with that said, as I mentioned before, last week's episode was more about preparing yourself for a relationship. And I think that a lot of what makes a relationship great is what you do in the prep. It's just like if you go to do a race, if you go to run a marathon, it's the effort that you put in on the day is like 5% of the effort that you've put into that marathon, because it's the 95% is all the training that you did leading up to that. And that's what determines how well you actually do on the day. And I think that a relationship is kind of similar to that. If you don't do the work on yourself leading up to it, then it doesn't really matter what you do during, you're gonna miss the target. And it's gonna be tough. It's not gonna be the way that you want it to be. So, like I said, go back, listen to last week's episode if you haven't already. But this week's episode is about things that you can do to improve the relationship now that you're in it. Okay? So, even if you are a fella who doesn't really feel like they did that prep work on themselves beforehand, some of the things we talk about in today's episode I think are still going to help you. I do think that it would be multiplied if you had done the prep work, but look, we can't change the past. What you've done is what you've done. And all we can do is work with what we've got right now. And it's a hell of a lot better to realize some things that you can improve now than to never realize those things at all. So the first thing that I wanted to share on how you can make sure that your relationship, as it is today, is better is be attentive to your partner's needs. If you did listen to the last episode, one of the things that you'll notice is that I spoke a lot about you being in the leadership position, us as men being in the leadership position within our relationship. And I don't just mean that because perhaps that's what we want, but I also think that that's really what women want as well. And I think that as men, we can make the mistake of not believing that these days, because this is the era of women's empowerment and women can do what boys can do and all that sort of stuff. And I'm not saying that they can't, but the point is, based on what I've seen, based on my experience, women still want you to make the decision. They just want you to make the right decision. And they want you to make the decision coming from a place of, what does she want? And she wants you to know what she wants, right? Like, how often have we felt like our women expect us to have a crystal ball to know what they're thinking? They actually do that. They want to know, they want us to know what they're thinking. That's what a woman would really love from a man, okay? Is to kind of already be aware, to pick up on those little cues that she's leaving us. Because we can, as men, we can get quite wrapped up in the macro, the things that are happening kind of on a larger scale in our day-to-day lives, and miss the little subtle details that our woman might leave for us to hopefully pick up on and make some adjustments on. If she's coming to you with a complaint, then that means you've missed about 20 little things that she has done to try and let you know that she's not happy about this. You know what I mean? And look, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean you should be like walking on eggshells, on edge, trying to like, oh fuck, is she okay? Is she okay? Definitely don't do that. That's also not what she wants, because women want strength, women want confidence. You just need to get so good at it that it's easy, and you go, cool, all right, well, we can do that too. We can do that right now. It's not a problem. So be attentive to your partner's needs, recognize what they like, what they don't like, and make those things happen before they even realize that you've put that work in. Like, one of the things that you may have noticed this if you've done this for your partner before, but if you've ever just like nailed something and they're like, oh my God, that's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what I would have done. That looks beautiful. I'm so grateful that you made this happen for me. Things where you just nailed it, like you know her really well and you know her likes and dislikes, and you made a decision completely molded by what you know about her and you nailed it. They love that. Women absolutely love that. And if you can do that every now and again, kind of sporadically, so don't do it systematically, because it's the lack of a pattern is almost what makes it more exciting, which is something else that you want to maintain in your relationship as well. But yeah, be attentive. Recognize the things that your partner wants. Recognize the things that make her happy, and try to inject that into your lives together as much as possible. Next thing on the list is appreciation. And this is so simple. It's so simple. Whenever your partner does anything that you really like, anything that makes you happy, anything that makes you grateful for her, let her know about it right then and there on the spot. Don't wait till afterwards. Don't wait till, the next day or a week from now, or wait till, years down the track. Let her know on the spot that, oh baby, I love it when you do that. I love it when you cook this meal. I love it when you prepare this thing for us. I love the way that you're just so organized, and I love how you reduce the stress in my life. I love how you make my life better. Just let them know in the moment when they do something. Like for example, my beautiful girlfriend Mon, I had some white shorts that had a stain in it. I didn't ask her to clean them for me. She just washed them, got the stain out for me, and handed them to me. And I was just like, so thankful, and I let her know that that's one of the many reasons why I love her. And it's little things like that, just taking that extra bit of time to show your genuine appreciation for the hard work and the efforts that your partner puts in, that make the biggest difference. It can be the simplest little thing as well, can absolutely change someone's day just by appreciating the fact that they went out of their way to do that, especially if it wasn't something that you necessarily asked for. They just did it for you anyway, because that is them showing you that they're thinking about you, and you need to show that appreciation. It's super important, and it's so simple. Next thing on here, and this is, man, I think this is a mistake that a lot of dudes make in long-term relationships as well. Never stop flirting with your partner. Never stop. This is like, the honeymoon phase, and then people get comfortable, and then it's kind of boring. It's because you stopped flirting with them. You stopped acting the way you did in the first 6, 12, 24 months when you were, trying to start a relationship together. And therefore, when you stop acting that way, it stops feeling as good as that. Never stop flirting with your partner. How often do you kiss your partner? Like properly kiss them, not just a little peck on the lips. I mean, like how often do you properly have a smooch with your partner? How often? Is it like once a week? Ever? Once a month? Only when you guys have sex? How often does that happen? You should try to maximize that, when it's appropriate, but you should try and maximize that. Show your desire for her. If you want your partner to feel sexy, and if she feels sexy, she's probably going to want to have more sex, right? If she doesn't feel very sexy, if you don't make her feel attractive by demonstrating your desire for her, your continuous desire for her, then she's probably not going to want to have sex with you because you haven't allowed her to feel like that's the case based on your actions. So never stop flirting with her. Never stop sending a cheeky, flirtatious text. Never stop making her laugh and giggle. Never stop, being a bit naughty. Never stop being a bit cheeky. All that stuff is so important in a relationship. And look, going back to one of the things I said in last week's episode, we were talking about vices right at the end of the episode, and I mentioned porn. When you stop watching porn, for example, you now have motivation, and you have more motivation and desire for your partner. Like the porn kind of takes that away from you because you're getting your excitement from this fake thing instead of something that's real that you actually care about. So you've given up that sexual energy to this fake thing. When you stop doing that, even if you felt like maybe your attraction for your partner has waned over the years, if you stopped watching porn, if you are doing that right now, then I guarantee you your attraction for your partner is going to increase again. Because that now becomes the main way that you can satisfy that natural urge that you have. And you can start to reignite that fire by adding those flirtatious moments back into your day. And it's also fun. That's what makes the relationship interesting, is the fact that you're doing those little things, and it makes a big difference. So never stop letting your partner know how much you desire her. Never stop giving her little cues that that's the case, and continuously in both the things that you say, the messages that you send her, your actions, your body language, all that sort of stuff. Never stop flirting with your partner. Doesn't matter how long you've been together, how old you are, always be flirting. All right, boys? Next thing on here is surprise her. Now, this doesn't have to be a big thing. This can be a tiny little, seemingly irrelevant thing, but what it does when you surprise your partner is just as when you show her appreciation, because she's done something to let you know that she was thinking about you. When you surprise her, it lets her know that you were thinking about her even though you weren't with her. And a surprise could literally just be something, just a heartfelt text randomly. I wouldn't do it very regularly because then it kind of loses its specialness, right? Not every day, maybe once a month, just randomly any day of the month. Maybe it's every couple of months. You just send a message just telling her how much you love her and what about her you love. It could just be an extra appreciation message, something simple like that. One thing that I do every now and again for my girlfriend, and it's so simple. It's like, in terms of an investment, it's nothing, but it makes a big difference. I know that she loves aloe vera water. So every now and again, when I'm at Kohl's and I'm getting stuff for our dinner, I'll pick her up an aloe vera water. It's like the easiest thing in the world, but then when I present her with it, she's like, oh, she gets really excited. She loves it because she doesn't necessarily buy it for herself, or she forgets to buy it. But then when she gets some and she's not expecting it, it's nice, She appreciates it. It's just a little thing. It just lets her know as well that as I was walking through the shops today, I saw that and it made me think of her and maybe wanted to do something really nice for her. And that's such a simple thing. Now, obviously that can range up to big things like gifts. Something I like to do with my girlfriend is take her on surprise trips away. Just book out a weekend and say, baby, we're packing a bag, we're going. And I don't tell her where we're going either. But mate, they love that stuff. If you want to have a really great relationship, those are the kind of things that are going to make a big difference. Because as much as women love consistency from us, they want to know that they can count on us to do certain things. The consistency can also get a bit boring. So every now and again, you've got to do something to kind of shake things up a little bit. Something fun, something out of the ordinary, and something she doesn't see coming. And that makes her go, oh, cool, what's next? What's this? It sort of allows her, it keeps her on her toes a little bit, which is something that women love. Now, the last thing on here, and this just kind of wraps everything up and ties it in with a lot of the stuff that I spoke about in last week's episode, and that's lead. Be willing to lead. And that's a big responsibility. I think that a lot of men are afraid to lead in the relationships these days because, the old mantra of happy wife, happy life exists. And I think that it's not that that's not true. It's just that what we think we need to do to keep our partners happy is not what we actually need to do. Because happy wife, happy life, oftentimes the way in which that is used, or the meaning of it, is just do what she wants and that way she won't complain, So, and the issue with that is that, if you never push back, especially if you never say no to things that you actually don't want to do, then your woman's going to lose respect for you because you don't respect your own desires enough to be honest about what you do and don't want to do. You don't respect your own boundaries enough to enforce them. So why the hell should she? Why should she respect you at all if you're not willing to take up that leadership position and say what you actually think? And obviously do it in the right way and be kind about it and be calm about it. But you've got to be willing to take on that responsibility. That's kind of the main thing I'm going to come back to, is it's your responsibility. If you want that leadership position, it's also not easy, right? Because that kind of comes back to the being attentive. It's your job, my friend, as the leader within this relationship, to consistently monitor the health of the relationship and make adjustments based on your assessment. It's your job to do that. It's not her job to come to you with complaints. It's your job to see the barriers before you even get there and already start making plans to overcome those barriers. That's what your woman wants from you. She wants you to be able to look into the future and have it sorted, have the problems solved before they even become problems. That's what she's going to love you for. That's what's going to make her respect and adore you and help you create the experience of a relationship that you really want. That's because you're taking on that much responsibility within the relationship. She can always rely and trust on you. Why would she want anybody else when you're the guy that's never ever let her down and has consistently made her feel desired and wanted and appreciated? Like, you're the one. You're the one. And if you want to have a great relationship with your partner, that's exactly how they need to see you, as the one. Not just a potential partner, but the one for them. If you become that guy, the number one option that they can see for themselves, then you're going to get treated like the number one option. But in order to do that, it's hard. It's not easy. You are going to have to make sacrifices. You are going to have to be better. You are going to have to pay attention to those subtle little hints that your woman's giving you. You're going to have to be looking forward into the future and solving problems before they even arise. And you're going to be having to think about those little things just to keep it exciting and new and fresh. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. And that's the reason why when we look around today, more than 50% of marriages end in divorce. And it's really, really sad. And it sucks that that's the place that we're in. But if we're not paying attention to where things are headed, then we're going to end up in a crap place before we know it. It's really difficult to come back from that once we're already in it. So let's try and be proactive, fellas, and take up that leadership position. And that means fundamentally taking on responsibility. Not coming in and enforcing all these rules and these new things you want to change. Not at all. It means taking responsibility. It means taking on the weight that comes with that role. So, look, that is the end of this 2-part series on relationships. If you have any questions, any comments, anything you would like to add to what I've said, or maybe there's something in there that you disagree with, by all means, comment down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. And I hope this helped you. I hope that this has perhaps made you aware of a few things that you could do to vastly improve your relationship, or if you're not currently in a relationship, some things that you could do to improve yourself and prepare yourself for a really great relationship as well. And look, as you already know, one of the most important things in being a great partner, a great husband, a great father is being physically and mentally fit. And you've got to have a regime around your physical and mental fitness in order for that to be the case in the long term. So if you're a man on the Gold Coast and you know that that's an area that you're currently struggling with and you're not too sure how to fix it, then one thing that you could do would be to come down and join the Unbreakable Man Brotherhood. Now, I run this program out of Snap Fitness in Pacific Pines. It's a group training program for men, and we focus on not just the physical fitness, but also the mental fitness too. So a lot of the kind of conversation that I have in these podcast episodes is the sort of stuff that we talk about and teach men to improve as part of the Unbreakable Man program. So if you're on the Gold Coast and you know that that's something that you want to change and improve for yourself and your family, then that is an amazing option for you. And right now we're running a free week trial as well. So you can come down, experience it for a week, and find out if this is something that is really going to help you. All right, with that said, my friend, I hope you have an excellent rest of your day, and I look forward to speaking to you again on the next episode. Cheers. Hey mate, I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Unbreakable Man podcast. If you did, it would be absolutely fantastic if you could leave us a 5-star review, because that's going to help us get our message in front of more men who need to hear it. Now, if you have some feedback for me, I'd love to hear that too. Comment down below. And if you just need some mini doses of Unbreakable Man motivation throughout your week, then you can follow us across all social platforms. On Facebook, it's Unbreakable Man Challenge. On Instagram, it's Unbreakable Man_challenge. And on TikTok and YouTube, it's just Unbreakable Man. Your support would be absolutely invaluable. Now, last but not least, do not forget, men aren't born, they're built.